Good evening, Couples Expert audience. This is Stuart Fensterheim, the Couples Expert, and I am really thrilled today because I get to do a podcast just for me. You know, I try to bring on experts in the field of relationships to really give all of you top-notch information about relationships, about being in love, and how to really make sure your partner knows that they are with that one person in the world that cares so much about them that you and them together are going to create a love that will truly last the rest of your life. Because that's why we get into these relationships, isn't it? Because what we know is that people who have a secure relationship have a relationship that can change the nature of their world, how they perceive themselves, how they perceive each other, and really how you look at our society and whether or not we live in a place that is warm and loving, or is it dangerous and something to be really cautious about. I choose to have an intentional relationship in which my wife and I work hard every single day, making sure that both of us know that we don't take each other for granted, and that what we're going to do is really recognize and acknowledge even the small moments, the moments that most people overlook. We celebrate. We get out there and really tell each other how important we are and talk about the things that most people don't talk about. And that makes us very different. And that makes all of you very different too, because as my community of listeners, those of you who have been following me now for about a year and a half or 2 years, know that I don't mess around. I talk about relationships, the reality of relationships in a realistic, wonderful way that lets all of you know that we're in this together. And that my mission of bringing love and connection to the world is not just a passion of mine, although it is. It's really deep in my soul, because I became a counselor because I wanted to stand up and really make sure that every single person in my life knows how important they are to me, and that I'm not going to let any day go by without sharing that. The other aspect of me becoming a counselor is really about the fact that I wanted to be a person that is significantly altering the way that people relate to one another. I don't want to just be one of those people that watches what happens around me. I want to take an active stance. And my mission, my passion, my dedication to me, not to anyone else, but just to me, is to not look at our world as something that's just rolling by, that I am going to influence. I'm going to be one of the influencers that are going to change how people relate to one another and make sure every single person knows how important it is to really be connected to those people in your life that you care about, and that the whole world benefits from that. What I wanted to do today is talk about how exciting it is to be out here working with couples, helping couples really understand the importance they are to one another, and how that we now have this really incredible situation, a situation in which we no longer have to guess how to bring love and romance into the world, that we're going to go out and really help couples in a detailed, specific way, in a way that lets people know that this is not a guessing game. This is a plan that we now have, what I would call a relationship plan, and that if all of you follow a clear map, a map that has a clear path to finding connection, that anyone can do this. It is not rocket science. It is based on a particular model, and I'm going to share more about why it's so important to see a counselor, that has a plan. We've talked a lot about emotionally focused therapy. Today's not going to be about that. What today's going to be about is when you seek counseling, why you need someone that doesn't just say, I know about couples, that they can clearly spell out for you how they're going to help you. Before I get into that, though, one of the things I wanted to talk about, and I'm likely going to do more of, is as I do research for these podcasts or my practice, I come across articles and videos and lots of things in social media. I'm now just craving more and more information that I'm finding online about relationships, couples, marriage, different marital problems. And as I come across them, I'm going to try at least once a month to identify something that I find that is really valuable and may be helpful for all of you. So that when you come to this podcast, and I hope you'll join me every week, and every week I'm trying to produce more and more podcasts. I'm starting to do some daily ones and give you hard information and places that you can go that will help your relationship today by giving you that information. And the one that I just recently saw was just really reinforcing why I'm going to be talking about what I'm talking about today, which has to do with having a counselor who has a plan so that you can truly have an experience in the office with the counselor that's going to help the two of you really become more connected. The article I was reading was about parents who fight in front of the kids and how that impacts children's sense of connection, sense of stability, and also what we've known for a very long time is that kids tend to have relationships very similar to what they observe, and that there is a direct correlation between couples that are able to talk about issues, deal with them in an emotional, vulnerable, authentic way, and the children then have those kinds of relationships as well. And this study really demonstrated very clearly why I do what I do. And that's really what I want to talk about. So let's talk about the map. Now, what is a map? A map is something to help us understand where things are. A map is also an item that you can have with you that you always know that you can find your way if you are lost. And what's more difficult than feeling lost and feeling totally unsure and confused about someone in your life that you want more than anything to feel their love and to feel that you are loved by them. And I've had multiple couples this past week, which is why I'm doing this, talk about how confusing it is that they have this incredible yearning, desire to feel like that they and their partner are together and that they have value. And there's so many women this past week that I've been meeting with who have talked about physical surgeries, breast augmentations, different things, Botox, to help their appearance because they hope that that is going to make a difference and to have their partner be attracted to them and feel loved. Now let's think about that. What does that mean? That means unless something externally looks the right way, our partners won't be attracted to us and that there won't be an emotional connection. There's nothing sadder than that for me as a couples counselor, knowing that what really defines a relationship is whether or not you feel that your partner is there for you and all of you, not just there for you if you look a certain way, not there for you if you act a certain way, but there for you because they see all of you, the good, the bad, and even the not so good, and know that it doesn't make a difference. And how do we create that if we don't have a clear plan that says, if you do this, this will happen? And what's really neat about emotionally focused therapy or an attachment-based model of counseling is we have not only theory, but research, examples, and now we even have things like MRI studies that say if you have a partner in your life and you feel connected to, it changes your world and you live longer, you're happier as an individual, you'll take more risk professionally, and your entire existence feels joyful and wonderful, and that there isn't any problem that can't be overcome if it's just the two of you doing it together. So this map, where we start at a place of disconnection, and in order to do that, the first path that you go on is the two of you need to establish a relationship that's safe and secure, and that the two of you begin to see the problems in the same way. Now, that's not an easy thing to do. That's not an easy challenge, because countless of couples have talked with me over the years that they experience the same argument with their partner, and the two of them, it's like they're not even in the same space. They see it so differently. Even facts. That's what's so funny about this. Even specific facts like, did you do this? Did you say this? Couples will argue till the cows come home and have two different opinions whether it even happened. Now, how does that occur? Are people blind and deaf and dumb? I'd suggest it has nothing to do with that. I'd suggest it has to do with the emotional feelings of being overwhelmed and the pain and anguish that comes from having a disagreement with the one person in the world that you want to matter to the most. And when it's not happening, you go off into a primal panic that basically shuts down your senses and shuts down everything that you know and can do, which includes your perceptions. So that if following this map, we can go to seeing the problem the same way and then experiencing each other as working together on the same team, now you got something powerful. You have two people who can fight what we call in EFT the demon dialogues together. And we all know, whether we've been on sports teams, whether we've been on work teams, that the teamwork will always accomplish more than doing it by yourself. So if you're someone who's out there and the two of you are caught up in these vicious relationship negative cycles, when you begin to know how to go from feeling like you're living separate lives to now working together against an evil force that's trying to harm the two of you, and no way is anyone going to let that happen. You know, it reminds me of my brother and I. We used to fight a lot growing up. And one of the things we used to say is, no one messes with my brother. I'm the only one that can beat the crap out of him. No one else can. Now, what does that mean? That means we're in the same family. I love him. He loves me. I'll beat the crap out of him because I'll do it in a loving, caring way, and no one outside of our family will hurt my brother. So even if I'm so mad and I want to just punch him in the mouth, I'll defend him to the death, even if I'm angry with him, even if I don't like him very much, because I know we're in this together and we're in a family and we'll always protect each other. And you can have that kind of relationship with your partner if the two of you see it the same way and know what to do when you see it. And that is what's so powerful, is we now know what half of what gets in the way is false interpretations. So our map will tell us, number one, identify the problem and look at the cycle and see it the same way. Number two, part of the map, and it takes you now along the river bend, is understanding and being in a relationship where you can share your negative interpretations, assumptions, and never doubt that you can't read each other's mind and you can't be someone that knows what's happening unless your partner tells you that. But here's where it gets tricky. What if you don't believe what your partner tells you? And they say, this really hurt me. And you go, bull crap. I don't believe that for a second. You're just saying that. Interesting that you don't believe what your partner says. So now we have to work on that, because that part of your map says we're now in a danger zone. So we're going to work hard in an experiential way to change that interpretation and to begin to believe what your partner says, because you can't beat that evil cycle together unless you trust your partner. When's the last time you played doubles in tennis and when your partner missed a shot, you turned over to him and said, "You idiot, why'd you miss that? That's an easy one. You should have been able to do that." And when your partner tells you what happened, you go, "Nonsense. That can't be what really happened." Is your doubles partner going to play another match with you? Probably not. But that's what we all do. So you need to have enough confidence in yourself and in your partner that the two of you are in this together, and you're going to believe what each other says. And then we need to look at things like, what are some triggers? What are raw spots in the relationship? And as we go down the road and across the bend and through the valley to grandma's house we go, we now begin to experience each other differently and know how to get there. And your counselor is the guide that has the map. And they're going to not be better than you and be able to say, "I can do this, but you can't, so you must listen to me, the wonderful and absolutely masterful counselor." They're going to say, it's the three of us in this together. And we're going to learn from each other, and we're going to do this in a way that's going to help all three of us learn and be there for one another. And your counselor will help you have the right dialogue, not talk about content, but talk about experience. And each day and each valley you cross, you get closer and closer to one another. It's pretty cool. Now, one of the things I'd like to talk about are some things that are going on for me before we close today and before I talk about another aspect of all of this, is that I offer a 30-minute, for those of you that don't know me very well, I try to give back to the community both in these podcasts, and I also have a YouTube channel called the Couples Expert YouTube channel. And please check that out, because in that channel, I give daily tips. I do a daily video every morning. There should be one on my YouTube channel. I post it in Facebook and all over social media to really offer couples an opportunity to learn every single day, because what we know is that if you don't keep this stuff in front of you, you'll forget it. So what I want to tell you about is my YouTube channel, and please subscribe to that channel, as well as please subscribe to this podcast. And I really would like as many people as are willing to write me an honest review, because that's the way that these podcasts and my videos and everything that I do can stay relevant, is because when people tell me they'd like to hear about a particular topic, I go out there and find it. That is my goal, to have this podcast be so relevant to all of you that you know this is the resource that'll change your relationship. And thank you again for joining me this week. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. So here we are. We've got this map. Now, what do we do with it? Now we have to follow it. We have to follow it as a couple. We follow the map down, but what sometimes gets in the way are injuries, things that have happened for the two of you. And what type of counselor do you need? What you need is someone that not only has a map, but understands the map. Understand that this is a normal part of what happens, and sometimes it even can blow up on you. And as counselors, we're human, and there are a number of couples counselors out there that are working in this field that get scared out of their minds when couples have intense arguments and have absolutely no idea what to do, and what they end up doing is doing what the couples have done, which get caught up into blame and education and teaching negotiation skills. And what we know, all those things are very powerful. They help, but they don't change the relationship. We have to go through the anger. We have to help couples understand the anger, that beneath that anger are the primary feelings, the emotions, the needs, the attachment needs. And when we go through anger and understand our anger, usually is a vulnerable emotion of fear, longing, desire, helplessness, and a feeling of being alone, which is so very painful. We'll protect it in any way that we can. And the way we protect it is by looking outward and saying, who's at fault? We're all good at that. This society is filled with, there's nothing, if you know who Brene Brown is, she said something the other day that was really, I was watching a video while I was teaching one of my couples weekends. And in the video, she talks about our world is filled with people that love blame. We are such a blame lifestyle. We are people who like to figure out who's at fault so we don't have to take responsibility. It's an easy sort of fix. Look to someone else and say, you did it. Now I don't have to worry. And instead, what she's recommending, and I am recommending here, is we look within and we go, what can I do to make a difference in my world with my partner? And if I dig deep and look at the needs that I need from you, I can open up, share myself, and trust that you too will do the same and we'll do it together. And the connection in a vulnerable spot is magic. It is better than, for me, and my wife will tell you, cherry pie is my love. It's better than a really good piece of cherry pie with vanilla ice cream and sprinkles. There is nothing in the world that makes you feel better than knowing that you've just opened up to your partner and they've met you there, and that the love grows because they see the vulnerability in you, and that to them means a trust, a caring, a special experience that most of us don't have, that people open up in a deep way. How do you know when it's a deep way, though? And I think that could be tricky. Let me tell you how you know. It's never done in an angry way. It is always gentle, it's soft, tone goes down, and people struggle talking about it. Generally, there's emotion, but not for everyone. And when they're sharing it, you can sense a trepidation of how someone's going to take it. And for us men especially, fear of rejection is incredible. We don't show that very easily. Maybe I see it because I'm a man and working with men and women in my office. If we don't have a sense that we change the nature of the relationship and that our partners are better off with us than without us, and we feel that they need us, and that we offer the partners in our life something that makes their world better and easier, We get filled with shame if that's not true, and we see ourselves as failing. Those types of discussions need to be having between couples so that you understand why the man in your life may get agitated and shut down. My guess for most men, and what I've experienced, is that fear that I don't offer you enough. And if I can really share that with you, and you let me know that I just have to be me, don't have to be anything, and I'm doing that with you, the connection that we have will transform our world. And that the two of you will, in a very short time, have created something that people in your life will look at you and say, I wish it was me. I wish it was us. So I leave you with that today. And I want to just let you know, thank you for joining me. I want to remind you of my 30-minute free, no-obligation consultation that I offer at my website, which is www.thecouplesexpertscottsdale.com. And also to invite you back again next week, where we're going to have on the show someone who I've been trying to get on my show for about 4 to 6 months. So I'm really excited that she's agreed finally. She's out of Canada, and her name is Veronica Callos-Lilly. She and another friend of mine and hers wrote a workbook. It's a emotionally focused therapy workbook that goes along with counseling, so it's a perfect add-on to this episode, because we're going to do is talk about how to use the workbook in therapy along with a really lively dialogue about vulnerability in relationships, how to create it, why it's important. And I really look forward to her being on and digging deep on finding out a little bit about why she wrote the book and how she really sees it benefiting all of you in the counseling, or with the Hold Me Tight book, you can do it on your own. And I'm assuming that the workbook is not something you need a counselor for. So you'll be able to have another resource to really make your relationships powerful. Stay tuned. See me next time and stay connected. Bye-bye.